Hi everybody, Steve Griffiths here, developer of the MTPredictor software program. In today's video I'd like to use the MTP-RT add-ons for NinjaTrader, which is what you're looking at here, and I'd just like to go over how the ES, NQ and YM, the USE minis, unfolded yesterday with a view of looking at these just with the standard trade management guidelines. So just as new MTPredictor users will be looking at these. If you remember, we use, for new MTPredictor customers, we use the STF color, which is our indicator down here, where blue is an uptrend, black is flat, and red is defined as a downtrend. So we're looking to take trades that are in the direction of this STF color. So in other words, when it's black or blue, we look to take buy setups. When it's black or red, we look to take sell setups. The first one you can see here is a lovely TS4 buy setup, the caught the low here. So we right mouse click over the bar, then do analysis. That places the analysis on the chart for us. And as you can see, the ES didn't quite reach its first target there. So if you'd been trading this using the standard trade management guidelines, you'd have probably come out on close, which is about here somewhere. So if we look at the risk reward on close about there, it was about 1.4, 1.5 R, so 1.5 risk units. If we go back earlier on in the chart, we can see that we have some history triangles here. Now these are placed on the chart when a trade would have been filled, not necessarily stopped out, but would have been filled. So the idea being is that you go back, place the analysis on, and see how these would have unfolded. This one here would have been a perfectly valid trade setup because it was on a blue STF. So if we place the analysis on here, you can see it would have just clipped us in and then taken us out. So this would have been a valid -1R loss. Same when we go back to here, we go over the red sell bar, which is here, we right mouse click, we do analysis because this would have been a short trade. A short trade would have been perfectly valid because the STF was black at the time. This would have taken us in here and the market would have gone up and again stopped us out for a -1R loss. Now some people would say, why have I done a video showing a situation where MTPredictor would have had two losing trades, one profitable trade, and the profitable trade wouldn't have actually made up for the two losing trades. In other words, it would have been a bad day overall. Well, I think it's important to show not just good trade setups, but also days when you are basically either losing slightly or coming out just about flat for the day. So on the ES, we'd have had a -1R loss, then a -1R loss, and as we saw a little bit earlier, this trade set up here going into the close of the day about there would have been about +1.4R. So you'd have lost on the ES about half an R. Now that's not bad, and if you've actually had a day where you've actually would have lost, and let's face it, there are days when traders do come out losing at the end of the day. If you can keep the loss small at, in this case, under minus or under one risk unit, I think that's a very good result on a day that didn't actually do very well. Let's have a look at some of the other markets. Let's have a look at the NQ. The NQ, we had a couple of setups here. Here's a DP sell, and here's a history triangle here. But for standard traders, if you look at this first history triangle here was on a blue STF, so was against the STF trend, so would have been avoided. Likewise, this DP sell here was on a blue STF, so again this would have been avoided with our standard trade management guidelines. So on the NQ, no trade setups yesterday. For standard traders, that is. If we move over to the YM, we get a slightly different picture. If we look at these two sell setups here, they're actually both on a blue STF. If I make that a bit bigger, this second one here, if you come down, is actually on that bar where the STF is blue. So both these sell setups here would have been against the blue STF, so would have been avoided. So the only trade setup you'd have had on the YM yesterday would have been this TS4 buy setup here. Perfectly valid because the STF is blue stroke black. If we place the analysis on here, you can see in this particular example, we came in at this level. Our protected stop would have been here. Remember, we use correct position sizing to calculate how many lot shares or contracts to trade to keep our initial risk small and under control. In this particular example, less than 2% of a sample $20,000 account. Here, the YM did beautifully, went straight up to our first target, When it does, we come down to look at our strength band on our STF indicator, which is this grey line. If it's weak, in this case, in other words, the STF indicator has not reached the strength band, then we say the market's weak, therefore we look to come out at the WPT target. So this actually nailed the high absolutely beautifully there for a lovely plus 3.2R, and the market then declined down into the close. So overall, it was quite a good day for the USE minis yesterday. Not on all the markets, as we've seen, the ES came out with a small loss, but as I said earlier, if you do have a losing day but that loss is kept small under control, that is actually a good result for a trader. The NQ was flat, not a lot going on with that, but the best market yesterday was the YM. In particular, this TS4 buy setup here, that as you can see was a perfect example of a standard MTPredictor trade setup, going up to the first target there for a lovely plus 3.2R profit. So that's why I wanted to do this video today, to not only show you this nice trade here on the YM, but also to remind you there are days, like we've shown on the ES here, when you can come out either flat or just make a small loss. The trick to successful trading is when you have days that are hard, like we had on the ES, you only come out with a small loss, and that loss is kept under control. And I think that is a very good result, to have an approach where the losses are kept small and under control on bad days, and as we've seen in many other videos, when you do have some good trade setups come through, the profits are large, much larger than the initial risk. So this video is all about risk control and keeping the losses small on days that are otherwise hard.